In a world of horror, countless hours of cinema, what is truly terrifying? What will keep the kids up at night? What scene can never be unseen? Join us as we watch everything horror and discover the 13 degrees of screams.
Welcome to 13 Degrees of Screams.
We're your hosts, Stephanie.
And Alex.
And this week we watched the birth of the Antichrist in the First Omen.
We did, Steph.
We did.
And you know what? I'm not even going to ask you if you saw this before the podcast because we got to see this in theaters together.
It was quite the time.
Right. This is the first movie we're covering that's like new and we got to see together in the theater.
Yeah. It was a good time.
Exciting. I'm super excited that we're able to like do stuff like this now.
Mm-hmm. And to even talk about the audience experience as well, too, that we were with, because we had an experience.
We did. We actually did. But before we go quite into that experience, what did you think about the movie? Did you like it?
A little odd at times where...
That's putting it lightly.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of build-up, but my biggest critique was it was very loud. Like...
Yeah.
I know Nick, who saw it with us, said that it was bothering him as well. Like, it was just some mainly musical moments where there was a lot of chanting or something were just, like, needlessly loud.
This movie is 90% chanting. The only thing about that is I don't necessarily hold that against the movie because...
It could have just been our theater.
Yeah, because I will never forget. I saw it part 2 in theater, and the theater I was in had it so... quiet, like I could barely hear it.
Really?
Yeah, it was really bad. So I think they just maybe had it turned up loud,
or maybe it was just where we were sitting close to speakers or something.
I don't know, but yeah, it was very loud. I eventually got used to it. Like,
I just know at a couple of points where I was like, okay, gotta stop.
Like in your ear.
Yes.
I'm like, I get it. It's the devil. Like, please stop chanting.
We've known it's the devil for quite some time now.
That's enough slices. That's enough chanting.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. Jeez.
Gosh, we got it.
We got it. So, yeah, it was loud. But I'm not going to hold that against the movie per se.
Also, I thought it was funny that here comes this scary nun-associated movie paired next to another scary nun movie that's out right now, too. I don't remember what that one was called. Immaculate.
Yeah, I kind of actually talk about that briefly.
Okay. I won't push further then.
Well, it's not much, but yeah, it is very, like...
strange.
It's like the same thing.
A Bug's Life meets Ants, you know, like they come out the same time.
It's Pixar versus DreamWorks.
Yeah.
I forgot that used to happen. They don't really do that anymore, do they?
Mm-hmm. I guess not, no.
Shark Tale and Finding Nemo.
Oh, yeah.
Good times. So
always strange choices.
Yeah. So you thought it was okay? Like,
Yeah.
Meh.
I mean, there were some moments where I was like, "Ooh, I'm scared. But then I'd be like, "Oh, it's not as bad as I thought it would be."
Right.
There was like a couple of build-up moments where I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna cover my eyes and I'll just like watch right here."
But see that the tension it built, I feel like is
Yeah, exactly. That was the good part, I guess. But then there was quite a few parts where I was like, okay, so she's running after this guy. This guy's about to get hit by a car. He goes into the street. Sorry.
No, we talk about the whole movie stuff.
Right. We should warn people when we get to spoilers, though.
We're going to talk about the plot now. The entirety of the plot.
Yes.
Like, we should just scream that.
Yes.
Like the chanting.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about the plot now.
Plot.
Plots. You get a plot. You get a plot.
So there's just more predictable moments, I guess, too, that I was like, well, we've seen that quite a few times. But then all of the birthing, there's a lot of birthing in this movie.
It's about birthing there.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is different. Not sure if I like it, but it's different.
It is shocking.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I actually liked it quite a bit. And I wasn't like super interested in seeing this movie at all. This is not my favorite topic or subject matter, should I say. Like, I was like, Like, I saw the original Omen when I was a kid. Of course, when I was a kid. I don't really remember nor cared about the Omen Like, it just wasn't something I was interested in. But to me, it was a really well done movie.
The Omen or this?
The first Omen. This new Omen. I thought it was a really well done movie, and I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to.
To be honest, I've realized that the title says The First Omen, but I did not make the connection that this was supposed to be a prequel to The Omen.
Oopsies.
Honestly, I watched one trailer and I was like, creepy nun movie. And it was marketed to be the scariest movie of the year. So I was like, I guess we should add it to the podcast.
Yeah. Then
I texted you, it was added. I never looked at another trailer again, and I was like, gonna see that soon.
Right, exactly. And I mean, it's good to not know.
Yeah, I didn't want to look up too much stuff about it and get too much of a preconceived notion about it. So I avoided it after that.
That's fair.
And didn't figure out at all that it was, until the very end, I was like, oh, it's The Omen. It's about The Omen.
Alex, it's The Omen. Can you believe it? The first Omen.
Did you know? Did you know this was Damien the whole time?
Perhaps. Although, you know what? I didn't know it was Damien.
Oh, okay.
So it's called The First Omen, which makes me think Damien's not the first one.
Oh.
Like, this is the first one, and then Damien was another one.
Yeah.
So, meh. But
also, doesn't it take place in the 70s or something too? So it feels like a while ago.
Yeah, The Omen came out in 76. And this took place in the 70s.
Okay.
So it checks.
I didn't remember what year was the original Omen out.
76.
Okay.
So, yeah. But I liked it. I thought it was good.
Okay.
I don't know if I would necessarily watch it again. I might watch it again, but only because, again, it's not my favorite subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, oh, okay. This was good. This was well done.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
I will say it was very good at building up the suspense when it came to, especially seeing the devil. I was like, oh, the devil's gonna be real freaky. They have to blindfold her every time that there's ever gonna even be a mention of the devil. And then we finally see it, and I was like, oh, just kind of looks like a giant bull with white eyes.
Yeah. Well, that's scary to some people,
I guess.
There were some other scenes that we'll talk about that freaked me out, and then the acting was really good.
Oh, for sure.
Our main character.
Yes,
top
she was
notch.
very good.
I loved her character, for one.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved the journey. I mean, I didn't love the journey, but
didn't love it for her.
I didn't love it for her, but
love what she was doing.
Love what she was doing, especially that one scene when she was convulsing. Yeah. We'll talk about.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah, she.
Oh my god, that made me feel weird.
Yeah,
I was like, ugh.
Yeah, but she definitely had a Reagan-esque moment.
Just putting it lightly.
Yeah,
Reagan adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
But ready to dive into some movie background?
Yes, let's do it.
The First Omen is a 2024 American supernatural horror film that serves as a prequel to the 1976 film The Omen and is the sixth installment of the Omen franchise. Directed by Arkasha Stevenson, the film stars Nell Tiger Free, Sonia Braga, Ralph Ineson, and Bill Nighy. The storyline follows an American woman assigned to work at the church in Rome who stumbles upon a malevolent plot to bring forth the birth of the Antichrist. The First Omen was released by 20th Century Studios on April 5th in 2024 and garnered positive reviews from critics. Principal photography occurred in Rome and at Lumina Studios from September 19th to November 22nd, 2022. A specific shot in the birthing sequence resulted in the Motion Picture Association registering the film with an NC-17 rating classification. Producer Keith Levine said, "We had to go back and forth with the ratings board 5 times. Weirdly, avoiding the NC-17 made it more intense." So, if you know, you know. The scene. But initially got the NC-17 rating.
Jeez.
So they had to cut back a little bit, I guess. So it was worse than what we saw. Yeah.
But like I said, though, the buildup, I was once she found out that she was going to have this baby, I was like, I'm not interested in seeing her have this baby.
Yeah.
I think I'm done.
Yeah, you know what scene they're talking about, though?
Yes.
With the hand.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I still think this is pushing it, because, you see it. You see it.
Mm-hmm.
And be warned if you're going to see this movie that you're going to see, things coming out of females.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of birthing female anatomy and stuff like that, and honestly very uncomfortable if you've ever considered being a birthing person, I think.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah,
it makes you rethink that a lot.
Yeah, might birth the Antichrist. Who knows? It could be you. Upon the news about the NC-17 rating, David S. Goyer commented that the movie by its nature deals with female body horror, and I do think there's a double standard. That was really interesting when we were negotiating with the ratings board. I think there is more permissiveness when dealing with male protagonists, particularly in body horror. Financially, the First Omen has achieved a gross of $15.8 million in the United States and Canada, as well as $20.8 million in other territories, resulting in a worldwide total of $36.6 million as of April 17th in 2024. The film has been associated with the other movie Immaculate as twin movies due to their similar themes and Italian settings, both exploring the issue of female bodily autonomy and the control of women's bodies by depicting them as vessels.
So it sounds like they made the same movie.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Honestly, you're going to go into Immaculate and be like, I saw the First Omen. I'm like,
is this the Omen?
Did you know this was a prequel?
I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry.
No, it was funny. He's funny. I'm going to spell this name because I don't want to butcher it, but Bilge, last name Ebiri, Bilge Ebery?
Yeah, that's how I would say it.
A vulture wondered about why should anyone be surprised that suddenly, in the wake of the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade, as state after state attempts to enact religious laws depriving women of bodily agency, America is getting horror movies about people forced into monstrous births by religious institutions worried about their growing irrelevance.
It is very current with the times,
right.
Yes.
So that was a good point to bring up. I didn't think about that.
For sure.
Could see those similarities. The First Omen has 81% on Rotten Tomatoes with a critical consensus that states, frequently frightening even as it plays within the confines of a nearly 50-year-old film series. This prequel is the first omen of a bright future for the franchise in quite some time. And this one actually had an audience consensus as well.
Oh.
That stated, The First Omen has plenty of spooky atmosphere and some great performances, although if you aren't in the mood for a slow burn, the pace might be a deal breaker. And then the audience score was actually 70%, so a little bit lower than the critics.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I think we just had the right theater for it, honestly.
Yeah.
We were all in, but not ready for it either. Yeah. Do you want to hear about the plot?
I do.
In a confessional, Father Brennan presses Father Harris about an occult conspiracy. The shaken Harris gives Brennan a photograph of a baby with the name Diana inscribed. Harris is killed when a falling pipe splits his head open. He's just outside, like immediately.
And he's alive for a hot second. He's laughing or smiling.
Yeah, it's very unsettling. They're just let's get it right off to a weird start.
Yeah, and you see it. You see the brain and the opening, and it's just not a pleasant view.
Also, this man is played by Tywin Lannister. And I was like, oh, we now see his brain. Okay.
It's great. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff.
A lion always pays his debts. I don't know.
Yeah. The stuff falls on him. And then at first you don't see that it hit him. Mm-hmm. But you're definitely hit somebody.
Yes.
And you're like, what's going on? And then he turns around and...
missing a good chunk.
Yeah.
It's kind of bloody, too. In Rome, 1971, amid left-wing protest, American aspiring to be nun Margaret Dano arrives at the Vizardelli orphanage. She meets with Cardinal Lawrence, Father Gabriel, and Abbess Sister Silva. Her roommate and fellow aspiring to be nun, Luz, and nun Angelica. Luz invites Margaret to a disco where she dances with a man named Paolo. Before blacking out, she awakens the next day with no memory of what happened.
Oh my God. And see, at that point, you're something happened.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, we as an audience don't see what happened. So, obviously.
It's implied, though. It's getting kind of hot and heavy. And she's very reserved at first, too. Mm-hmm. So she doesn't even really want to go out at first. And, Luz is you'll like it. You need to know what you're giving up before you, take the veil.
Do you, though? Because that might change your mind,
Right.
It might be better just to not.
Yeah, it seems she's very content on going forward with this path, and Luz is just yep, that's something I'm going to do in a few weeks.
Right.
Might as well do what I can.
Yeah, or you could just not. Again, that was just not a good idea.
So she talks her into going out. She talks her into wearing this little bit more revealing dress than she would wear. She's pretty modest. And she meets this man, and at first they're just kind of talking, but eventually they end up dancing, and it kind of gets a little sweaty and a little close. Yes. And when she wakes up the next day, she's like, I hope I didn't do anything I'll regret. And she's like, oh, no, I caught you in time. But I did have to pull you away from him. And I was like, oh.
Oh, my.
Oh, what? Ew. Like,
Ew.
Well, like, it made it sound like something non-consensual was happening. Like, because if you're inebriated.
That's true. Yeah, that's a whole other.
Yeah.
Which is like everyone
but also
at the
like
club.
the 70s. So.
Right. I mean, that's just the club.
Yeah.
At the club. I don't know. That's like, don't do that. Don't do any of this. Stop it.
So she soon bonds with the mistreated orphan Carlita, who is plagued by bad visions. She's often kept in like this solitary confinement, like in this room they call the bad room. And I guess Margaret also had a difficult upbringing, you know, like where she was often punished and stuff like that for acting out or having weird visions or something like that, which is similar to what is going on with Carlita currently. So they bond over that shared experience. Father Brennan warns her about Carlita saying evil things will happen around her. Yeah, like I was like, oh.
Excuse me? And you like don't ever see anything she's doing.
She's pretty chill, actually, aside from when she's like drawing creepy on the floor. But
what's wrong with drawing creepy? I do creepy all the time.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
But you're trying to say something?
I'm talking about the first time she meets her. She like licks her face, and I was like,
she was tasty. She's like, yum yum.
She seemed like a little bit more like, maybe I'm possessed. Like,
perhaps. The jury's out on that still.
Right. Margaret spots Carlita showing Angelica a drawing of a pregnant woman being restrained. This nun is, everyone's like, oh, actually, she's real cool. You'll like her.
Angelica?
And she's real odd.
She's a little out there, yeah.
Yeah, like she's like kind of walking down the stairs with like her head against the wall, like, and seems very not all mentally well. So Margaret kind of like scolds her for saying, you know, maybe it's inappropriate to be encouraging such drawings with Carlita or something like that. So Angelica kisses her on the mouth and just like runs upstairs. And she's wet all of a sudden. And I think you even leaned over to me and you're like, how'd she get wet so fast?
She was like ready to go. Like, what the hell was she doing?
She was up there within like 2 seconds. So she's at the very top of the building now, completely soaked. And she puts a rope over her neck and just sets herself on fire and just like falls into it. Ugh. You know, like, it's a lot.
It's a lot. Very dramatic. Again, doing the most, Angelica. She's like, notice me. And then she does that.
Yeah. And I love that Margaret's like, look away to Carlita. Carlita's already seen all of it. Like,
yeah. She's like, this is a typical Tuesday.
Brennan explains that radicals within the church, desperate to regain power against the rise of secularism, seek to bring about the Antichrist to create fear and drive people back to the church, with Carlita intended to be his mother.
So here's my thing. Okay, so let's just say, okay,
This is our biggest problem with the plot.
My biggest problem is like, okay, so like all people are not believing in the church, whatever, and they want people to start believing again. So your answer is to bring about the Antichrist? First of all, you could just pretend. You don't actually have to bring the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like, it's the 70s, a little magic trick.
Right. And I mean, if you're able to pray to your God to allow the Antichrist to be born, I feel like you could pray to your God to make some sort of, I don't know, storm or something happen to make it seem like here are the end times or whatever, something scary that would bring religion back into your city. But mainly it's just to stop like the protesting in the street that are like really anti-religion.
That's what it is? Stopping protest?
Well, and drive more young people into church. Yeah.
That's just very outlandish and very extreme.
And dangerous, wouldn't you say?
Maybe a little bit. I was like, that's a lot just to try to get people to go back to church.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be better ways to do that.
Especially like with the end game to be not to just like, you know, present the baby as like the Antichrist to everyone. They want him to go out into the world, especially for going off of the Omen movie, and just cause evil outside and just hope that all comes back to Rome, Italy, and everyone's like, the devil's out there.
Right.
We got to get in here.
Right. And it's like, yeah, because you're banking on
You're banking on a lot of it. Yeah. Like,
that might not work out for you.
Yeah. Like he's just going to spread so much widespread evil that it's going to get people in Rome to go to church.
I don't know. Because part of me, again, the only movie I've ever seen was the original Omen, and a long time ago. And part of me is like, is that actually what they were doing, or was that just a cover up? Or are they actually just evil? I don't remember.
Yeah.
But the way it's presented to us in this movie, that's the reason. So I'm going to operate on that's the reason they're doing that.
That's what we have to go off.
And like, that sounds like a stupid ass idea.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else would have been better.
Really?
And this is the way you go?
Like, just ask your God for like a little plague or something, you know, like get something. You don't have to get the devil.
Right. You're just going straight to
the top.
Or the bottom in this case.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, okay, I mean,
what's the worst thing we could do?
Let's do it. Yeah, so I was like, that sounds like a terrible idea.
I really wonder if there was like a committee. They're like, so what if we make some posters? And then somebody in the back is like, what about the Antichrist? It's like,
Jonathan, you're right. Good one.
Tear up the posters.
Oh my God. That would be like, oh my God. But yeah, that was silly.
Yes.
Silly idea.
Mm-hmm. During a field trip, a riot breaks out and Margaret experiences demonic hallucinations. Sister Silva postpones Margaret's vows and orders her to distance herself from Carlita because they're hanging out too much. And it seems like Margaret's kind of getting a little more cagey, having these weird hallucinations, and I don't know, they just don't like it. So,
they just really don't like.
And mainly it's just like they don't want her spending time with Carlita, and Margaret keeps on trying to spend time with Carlita, like right in front of them.
Right, yeah, which is dumb because they know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what does it matter?
They don't want them conspiring against them, I guess.
Oh, what is Carlita gonna do? I don't know. Like, what are you doing?
I don't know.
She's just a little girl.
Yes. Yeah, she's like
Spoiler
13.
alert.
13 at most.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. It's just like, okay, sure.
So soon after, she spots Paolo, horrified, who tells her to look for the mark before an oncoming truck fatally impales him.
Oh, my God.
This scene. So, like, yeah, I expected the truck to hit him. But then when he's pinned up against the wall and she hugs him, I was like, why would you pull him? Why would you pull him? And then, you want to tell him what happened?
He's fully ripped in half.
Yeah.
And she's holding his body.
His torso.
And
his head. And doesn't realize he doesn't have legs anymore.
Right. It takes a minute for her to realize he's not in one piece anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little bit dead now.
Yeah, he's a little dead.
So that's unfortunate
for
Pablo. Yeah, we definitely knew because the way it's framed and like they linger on him backing out and then also
backing away from her. Yeah.
Yeah. So you knew it was going to happen, but it was still actually kind of like, whoa, like, it still made me jump a little bit.
Yeah.
Not out of fear, but just like came out of nowhere.
Just knowing
it was
going to happen.
So
yes,
that happens. And they show it. They show it was like insides coming out. They did not shy away from the gore in this moment.
For sure. Margaret sneaks into Sister Silva's office. She uncovers a hidden underground chamber and a series of subject files all labeled Cyanna. Each file contains a photo of a disfigured baby with a birthmark in the shape of 3 sixes, with Carlita as seemingly the only survivor. She is intercepted and spots the mark on Carlita's palate, like the roof of her mouth, before being imprisoned. Father Gabriel frees Margaret as they examine the files. So Father Gabriel has kind of like sought Margaret out in between these scenes here and is like, maybe not everything is kosher with the church. Maybe you should, ironic because Jewish, but
right.
But maybe not everything is as it seems with the church. Be on the lookout for a child marked with the 666. And she's kind of like, yeah, I'd love to help you. Gotta go back and do some nun stuff. Bye-bye.
Oh, bye-bye.
So she's kind of respectfully avoiding him until, like, it starts to get more suspicious. So when she finds these files, she's like, okay, maybe he is
right.
Maybe I should talk to him about this for real, though. So now we're going to explain what happened in the theater during the scene.
Yeah. You want me to tell it?
Yes, please.
Okay. So first of all, we're getting towards the climax here where like things are starting to unravel and we're finding out the truth. And then all of a sudden, the lights for a second that, you know, are on the steps so you can see where you're going flicker a little bit. And we look at each other like, huh, that was weird. Then all of a sudden, everything goes dark.
Yes.
The movie goes dark. The lights are off. The power goes out.
It's all quiet.
It's all quiet. And people start immediately getting up. And they're like, oh, hell no.
Right.
So they're leaving, and we're just sitting in the dark, wondering, hey, what's going on? Because we don't know if the rest of the theater is missing power.
Yeah, if it's just us.
Yeah.
I think it probably stormed, most likely.
Yeah, it was raining. It was raining
day.
all day.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, great. The power goes out in this movie about the Antichrist. This is just fantastic.
Good sign.
Good for us. It's a good omen.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So people are like booking it out of there.
I love the one woman that commented like this was enough for her, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Like obviously what's going on here is the devil's work, and she wasn't having any more of it.
Yes, people were laughing about that, so that was funny. So the movie ended up coming back on like maybe 5 minutes later, not even.
And nice too, because we didn't miss any of it. Sometimes they just let it go, and you're just like left to fill in the pieces.
Yeah, they actually rewound it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Nick went to the bathroom while we waited to see if the movie would come back on. And I turned to Steph and we're like, well, I guess we're not doing this for the podcast. Because we had no idea when it was going to come on.
Right. I was worried it was going to be like a blackout. Everyone's going to have to go because there's no more movie now.
Right. I was like, of course, the first time we go to the theater to watch a movie to actually cover, because we did see Megan before just to see it.
Yeah, but we only like wrote like a little post about it rather than a whole episode.
And I'm like, no, like we're watching this movie to actually cover it.
Yes.
But luckily it came on, and then we got to finish watching the Devil movie. So
yeah.
It was like perfect timing. We're like, oh my God, of course this would happen during the Omen.
Yes.
Good times.
So Father Gabriel frees Margaret as they examine the files. Oh, yeah, because she was imprisoned for seeing Carlita again, like right in front of them. Okay. She literally like brings the files like directly to Carlita, like a big stack, and she's like, let's go through these together.
In front of the entire orphanage. Like, girl, what are you doing? She's like trying to hide them at first, like under a shirt or something.
Yeah, but it's obvious she has things.
Yeah, I'm like, girl, we all know. Nice try.
So they examine the files together. They discover that another baby had survived. And they realize that the baby in question that they're talking about, that everyone's so afraid of and everything for this potential mother of the Antichrist. Because this is actually what confused me is I thought Carlita, or in this case now, Margaret, mostly Margaret. Carlita was kind of like a red herring. Was being set up to be the Antichrist, not the mom of her.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
It's weird because it becomes like this whole generational thing.
Yeah, so the way it works is like you have to be born of the devil and then
impregnated by the devil.
And also impregnated by the devil, so it's like an ancestral
extra
thing.
Sin.
Yeah, it's like, great, cool, this is just lovely. Like, let's just pile it on. Like, just make it even worse than it already is. So that's fun.
So there's another baby in question. So they figured out that Carlita has a sister. And this baby's mark is the 666 on the scalp. And Margaret just starts feeling her scalp. And she's like, it's here. It's here.
Oh, shit.
And she's freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so suddenly she remembers that she was forcefully impregnated in a satanic ritual the night she blacked out at the disco. So all of it starts flooding back to her, like everything that she completely forgot. Paolo, Luz, they were all like in on it to get her there, to get her ready to be impregnated by her demonic father. Yeah. Her like, devil father, yes.
Literally everyone is just kind of like...
Yeah. You find out, too, they keep on saying that it was only like a few people trying to release the Antichrist. It's really the whole church. Like, all of the kids might as well have been there, because it's just everybody.
Everyone.
Everybody like, except her and Carlita are in on it seems. So the devil will need to mate with his own spawn in order to conceive the Antichrist, they learn. And Margaret has been brought to Rome as Carlita is still too young. They couldn't just wait.
You also think, like, the devil would care about that.
Right.
And, you know, like... Right. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, we also need to talk about the hand thing, because it's getting past that point.
Oh, yeah, we're way past that. I was going to mention it, but if you want to bring it up now.
So before we get into Margaret's pregnancy, we've kind of seen like a lot of symbolism and stuff with pregnancy and pregnancy being bad and scary kind of thing. Also, briefly in the beginning, they kind of talk about how they needed a volunteer to conceive Margaret as well. So we kind of see that sort of being set up. And then once Margaret arrives at the church in Rome to start studying to become a nun. They actually help women give birth there, it seems. So she happens to go by the window of one woman that's in labor and has kind of like a hallucination or something. And we see everything, like the breathing, the contractions, the stomach, the rest, the rest of the bits.
Mm-hmm.
And we see something start to come out. And at first you think it's a head, but it's kind of pointy. It's kind of like a bumpy thing. And then it's just like a little hand and it comes out and waves at Margaret. And it's
the way you describe it made it sound funny, but it's not funny.
No, it's not.
Because it's not just a little hand.
It's not little. It's a big hand.
And it has like sharp nails. And it's like all black.
Yeah, or like greeny gray or something.
Not normal color.
Not a baby.
Hi, Margaret.
Sorry.
It waves at her.
It's more or less like, soon it'll be you, Margaret.
Yeah. Just like reaching out towards her.
Yes. And she faints, and, that's one of her weird instances of stuff going on.
And that's the scene that
was the NC-17.
Mm-hmm.
So the group drives off to have the pregnancy aborted, but another car crashes into theirs on the way, and Margaret's womb suddenly fills, and she's like pregnant instantly.
Right.
Like full term pregnant.
Yeah, it's weird to me, like, why that second is that when it happened? Because she's been
pregnant for like 2 weeks or something.
So then why at that very moment? Is it like, whoop?
I don't know. Maybe it's like trying to follow actual like conception, because it takes a little while. Like sperm could live in the body for about 5 days.
Yeah.
So it takes a little while for the egg to move once it's fertilized. And
then once that happened, it was like, here you go, fully pregnant.
We're ready.
So it followed normal for a second.
Yeah.
And then it was like, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's like very pregnant now.
Yes. So this is, here, you can talk about what happens with her intricate
it's a
dance, or it's not even like a dance. It's more like a movement piece.
Yeah. She's like convulsing and like making these guttural noises.
Ripping her clothes, and like her shirt's popping open because of her belly swelling, and
just contorting and twisting.
Her water breaks, and she's just like freaking out in the street.
For like 2 minutes at least straight. And it's just like captivating to watch, to be quite honest. Like it's horrifying, but it's also like,
she should get an award, honestly. It's pretty intense.
It was done so well. I'm like, damn. Like I felt that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, ooh.
And you can just sense how much fear she's into. Like she was desperate to get rid of this baby before it got to this point.
Right.
She just didn't realize she only had like 5 minutes.
Who would know?
Right. That's not normal.
No. Usually you're pregnant for like 9 months-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was 5 seconds. I was like, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
But that scene was probably like the best scene in the whole movie.
Yeah.
It was done so well.
Right. So she awakens strapped to a hospital bed and is greeted by Cardinal Lawrence, the head of the conspiracy. And he's been her mentor and trying to tell her, like everything's okay. He brought her here from the States. He was supposed to kind of look after her, but really he was like in on it the whole time as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, everybody's here.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah. She gives birth to 2 children, a girl and a boy.
Twinsies.
The latter is hailed as the Antichrist. And I was like, so what about the girl? Like the girl is technically still Antichrist, in a way.
Yeah, she's still born of the devil, but not the Antichrist.
Apparently. I just feel like it's sexist to just assume that just since it's a boy.
Wait, the devil's sexist? Like that's the worst of it.
Well, more of the church, really.
Oh, yeah.
To be like, this specific boy is the Antichrist.
I think the Antichrist is male in religion. So I think that.
I guess. I don't know. To me, I felt like it could be either gender, so it didn't matter. Because this is what they did.
Gotta follow the prophecy, Steph.
Okay.
Sorry.
I just think, like, if you want to be the Antichrist and you're a girl, you can.
It is 2024. You could do whatever you want.
Right.
I think that's how that works.
She stabs Lawrence, but cannot bring herself to kill her son. Luz stabs Margaret as the conspirators flee with the boy and set the chamber ablaze to cover their tracks. So Carlita saves Margaret and her daughter, and Margaret sees her assaulter, a demonic jackal, in the flames. And this is what I'm talking about that looks like a bull. He's like on all fours and just like this
big dog kind of thing.
I don't know. That's kind of like
animal.
Some sort of mix of like a cow bull monster thing with eyes that's on all fours, but still large in the background.
Yeah.
The baby boy is given to American diplomat Robert Thorne to secretly replace the child his wife Catherine has supposedly miscarried.
And that's like the Omen.
Yes, that's a setup for the Omen, apparently.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is the Omen!
The Omen! Who would have known? How would I ever known?
Years later, Margaret lives secluded in the mountains with Carlita and her daughter, now a happy family. Brennan appears and warns that the conspirators will be hunting her and that her son has been named Damien.
Dun, 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 dun. The end. That's that.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a lot.
The thing that got me was it's Gabriel. Gabriel that she went to when she got pregnant that comes out and says that they'll be hunting her and her daughter.
Gabriel?
Like the man that she has been working with the files and stuff that found out, she was pregnant and stuff. I don't understand at the end why she's mad at him and wants him to stay away from her.
I think she just wants to be done with it. I think she's just like, stop.
Or wants to protect her daughter.
Yeah.
So just in case, because he probably wants her dead anyway.
Probably, maybe. I think she's just like, leave me alone. Like, we're living off the grid.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me.
Don't want to be involved.
Kinda. That's what I got out of it.
Okay.
She's like, I've had enough.
Yeah. Because she points a gun at him, so I was like, what did he really do to you, though?
I mean, nothing personal, I feel.
Yeah.
It's just like, just the situation. Like, just go away, dude. Just stop. That's the sense I got, at least.
Okay.
And to protect her family.
Nice.
So, that was that. Good times, good times. Now we just need to watch The Omen and then the 5 other sequels.
What are the other ones called? You don't know? You've never seen them?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
The Omen parts 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right.
I don't know.
This is the Omen.
It's just an Omen.
Okay.
One of them.
Okay.
So, after we talked about the plot, what did you rate this movie?
So, to run over our categories again, just in case for everyone.
Yeah, we'll just do it a couple episodes because this is so new.
Yes. So, again, family fun time, which, more child-friendly, 1 through 3. A little scary, but I'll deal more or less just creepy, but you'll still be able to get past it. Nothing scarring, nothing super scary. Is there something behind me? Just a little creeped out. That would be 7 through 8.
You'll think about this later at night when you're going to bed.
Yeah, you'll be a little paranoid.
I'm a little
maybe
scared.
I can't unsee this, like a weird scene that you're just like, wow, I'll never forget that. Maybe I should wash my eyes. 10 through 12 and 13, like, wow, you'll have to pay me to watch this again because I would rather die than experience it.
Yes.
So I would say 90% of the movie, I would rate it as a 9 in there. Is there something behind me? But the NC-17 scene with the hand, I would rate it as like I can't unsee this 10.
That's exactly what I had.
Yeah.
Because I had to be like, a lot of things don't scare me. But like, I'm just unfazed by things now. But so I have to like look at it differently. So for some of those scenes that we discussed, it did push it into the I can't unsee this category, but as a 10. Kind of, as you said. There was one scene we didn't really talk about where she sees the vision of Angelica burnt.
Oh, yes. And she's like hanging out with Carlita.
Yeah, that part actually did freak me out a little bit in the distance. So that gave it a little tick. I'm like, oh. Yeah. That actually freaked me out a little bit. So I think.
That's when she's in prison. She like at night, she sees.
In the darkness and she.
Yeah, Angelica coming to her naked and burned.
Yeah, there's definitely some scenes in there. You know what? I wouldn't even bump it up to 11. I'm gonna
really?
Yeah, just because.
So are you comfortable keeping it in the I can't unsee this category?
It's 100% going to be a I can't unsee this.
Okay.
I want to bump it up one only because, again, some of those images you won't really see in other movies.
Yeah, true.
While there was nothing like super gory.
I feel like at the Angelica scene, I did have my eyes covered for because I just wasn't sure what to expect. But I felt like that helped erase it from my mind. So then I was only thinking about the hand scene being the worst part. So that's why I was like, maybe it's just is there something behind me with a little touch of I can't unsee this? Yeah. But actually, there's a little more.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it 11. Okay. I think personally it would be a little bit lower, but just taking everything into consideration, especially for other people, I would give it in the middle of I can't unsee this.
Okay. So like a 10.5, I would say, for us combined.
Yeah. Because, again, I'm still in the mindset of rating against, like, other movies I've seen. Like, there's some, like, extreme stuff that we'll probably never, like, really touch on this podcast, like the iceberg of scary movies.
Yes.
We're going to cover, mostly mainstream stuff. So, in a mainstream sense, I would give it an 11.
Okay.
I feel comfortable about that.
Yes.
And you're just going to stick with your 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm cool with
so
that.
10.5 as an average.
Yes.
Are you ready to jump into the topic?
Yes.
So I did two things. I didn't really want to talk about the Antichrist in religious sense. Like, I do talk about it a little bit, but I did find a different topic. So I'm going to touch on a couple paragraphs of the Antichrist in terms of Christianity, and then I'll talk about my second topic. So I got the first information from Britannica website. So the Antichrist is depicted as the complete opposite and ultimate adversary of Christ in Christian tradition. It is believed that he will rule with great cruelty before the last judgment. The term Antichrist was first mentioned in the letters of John, and the detailed narrative of his life and reign can be found in medieval texts. Early Christians focused on the anticipation of the arrival of a singular great Antichrist. In the book of Revelation, this figure is referred to as the beast from the abyss and the beast from the sea. The Antichrist is prophesied to emerge during a time of widespread apostasy, using deceitful signs and wonders to mislead people, and will even claim to be God while sitting in the temple of God. Ultimately, he will be vanquished by Jesus, who will defeat him with the spirit of his mouth and the brightness of his coming. The Antichrist's reign of triumph, often not clearly distinguished from the beginning of his ministry, is foretold to last for 3.5 years. Similar to Christ, the Antichrist will journey to Jerusalem, but in direct contrast to Christ, he will be enthusiastically celebrated and revered. So,
knowing that, too, like, it really puts a damper on their plan.
Right.
Because you say you're going to birth Jesus again? Like, when you guys already believe he was already here? Like, that's step 2, apparently, of the plan. Like, you got to find Jesus again. Like,
right. He's going to be defeated by Jesus. But at least it's good knowing that it's only going to last 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I say only lightly. That's a long time.
Yeah.
But
to have the devil in control.
Right. Yeah, it's fine. Everything's fine. This is fine. We just got to wait 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Or we could just not. do that. But I feel like we couldn't talk about the Omen without at least touching on what that entailed.
It's so much of it.
But what I did want to talk about, I found a post on Tumblr, so take this with a grain of salt, from the Paranormal Periodical that talks about 7 common omens and what they mean.
Okay.
So I wanted to dive into that because I find that pretty interesting. So the first one, common omen, is a crow. So in many films and TV shows that depict death or war, crows often make a fateful appearance. Their cawing has long been regarded as a harbinger of misfortune or death, serving as a blatant foreshadowing element due to their association with the color black. In folklore, a single crow is seen as a sign of bad luck, while a group of crows, referred to as a murder, is considered an omen of death or illness for oneself or someone close. Ancient beliefs held that different types of birds signaled various positive and negative changes, with crows specifically believed to act as messengers between the mortal world and the afterlife. Additionally, witches were thought to use crows to cast death spells, contributing to their reputation as cunning and intelligent creatures.
Interesting.
I like crows. Crows and ravens, they're so pretty.
They freak me out.
You don't like them?
I've had a murder of crows caw at me before.
They did what?
Caw at me.
Oh, shit. Never mind.
When I was walking home, so I didn't care for that.
Stephanie, boo.
I was like, I'm not trying to make friends. I'm not trying to make enemies. I just want to go home.
Eat shit, Stephanie. We see you.
And they were like, no.
Don't you dare. Okay,
they didn't attack me. It just kind of creeped me out.
We did at my house. I don't know how this kept happening, but we had birds like coming in through the chimney and getting down into the basement, and we had a crow come down, and it was sharpening its beak on one of the pipes and was like swooping down at my mom and my sister.
That's creepy.
We were trying to like catch it.
Yeah.
But it was like sharpening its beak on the metal.
It's like for sure gonna get out of here.
Yeah. So I don't know what the hell. I was so young that I don't remember this, but they told me about it. We used to get birds down there all the time.
Damn.
It was crazy. But yes, crows.
Ooh, no.
Obviously. So our second omen is owls, another bird. So similarly, owls are also associated with death in folklore. Hearing an owl hoot while walking under a tree or having one land on your roof was believed to foretell death for you or a family member. Ancient civilizations considered owls to be wise creatures, seemingly possessing knowledge about the future that eludes humans. However, the Welsh believed that owls brought fertility, with the hoot of an owl heard by a pregnant woman being seen as a sign of easy labor.
Oh.
So death or easy labor.
Yeah, varied.
It just depends on where this owl lives. So number 3, we have doppelgangers. Back when we did seasons, we covered doppelgangers, but according to German and Irish folklore, encountering an exact replica of oneself born to different parents, known as a doppelganger, is considered a sign of impending death. These double-goers are viewed as evil twins who, if spoken to, may attempt to deceive and instill wicked ideas into one's mind. Breton and Cornish folklore even suggests that doppelgangers are the servants of death himself, personifying the concept.
Oh my.
So we know we covered a whole bunch of movies, 13 of them to be exact, about doppelgangers.
Yes.
So we all know all about that.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth omen is death knock thrice. The superstition of death knocking thrice is prevalent in Irish, Scottish, and Native American communities, with continuous knocking in threes being associated with impending death.
Oh, they talk about that in The Conjuring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a mockery of...
Oh, I see it. Okay, sorry. You didn't mention it.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. You already do. This belief is reflected in various films, including The Conjuring, where the continuous knocking is attributed to a demonic entity or spirit mocking the Holy Trinity. So if you hear 3 knocks, get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Bad. This one was really interesting. I've never heard of this before, but number 5 was phantom funerals. So in the realm of eerie omens, phantom funerals are considered harbingers of death of a loved one. These ghost-led processions mimic actual funerals, and if one sees such a procession, it is advised not to look into the casket, as it is said to foretell one's own death. It is believed that fairies are behind these events, known for their mischief-making. A similar phenomenon, known as the toleth before the coffin, involves hearing a coffin-making process or the funeral taking place. So could you imagine just seeing
creepy
a ghost funeral procession?
Yeah, right.
Like, that gave me so many ideas for stories. I'm like,
ooh,
I'm going to use this
yes.
for something. But I thought that was really cool.
Damn. That would be a good dream sequence before, like, the start of a book or something
or
like
you
that.
think it's a dream sequence, and it's the catalyst for the whole thing.
Yes.
So number 6, so solar eclipses.
Oh, no, we were
just
having one.
But don't worry, this is more like what it used to be.
Oh.
So solar eclipses, while now understood scientifically, were once seen as terrifying occurrences. Ancient civilizations interpreted them as warnings from vengeful gods, signaling impending danger or death. Many cultures believe that a folkloric beast or native animal was consuming the sun, leading communities to create noise during eclipses to scare away the imagined demon. To this day, solar eclipses are still considered mysterious signs of impending trouble. I will say, so we just had the solar eclipse. We were right in the path. I've been so tired ever since that stupid eclipse.
Really?
Yes. And I found there's a connection between energy and like solar eclipses.
It's chaotic.
As soon as it was done, I was so exhausted. And I've been tired ever since.
Really?
Yes.
I felt energetic.
Really?
That's funny. So I was actually looking into witchcrafty things because I'm like a budding baby witch. So I was looking into making moon water because it's said that if you place water outside with like set intentions, you could use it for spell crafting or different rituals or meditation or something to, give you benefits of also having like the solar lunar magic. But in this case, when I read into it for eclipse, there were like some people that were saying like ancient or, more old-timey beliefs would be that using water in this case for moon water or solar water could be chaotic because it's so much energy with the combined celestial things.
Yeah, I was CPs. And you were?
And I'm just like, I'm making magic.
Yeah, I was learning a nap, but very interesting. So the last one on the list was black butterfly. Black butterflies hold dual symbolism in different cultures, representing misfortune and death in some, while signifying renewal and rebirth in others. They can also symbolize the end of a relationship or project, suggesting a metaphorical death. These interpretations position black butterflies as omens of change and transformation, offering a glimmer of hope amidst challenging times. So,
interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen a black butterfly.
me neither. Not that I know
or
of.
even knew that one existed.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. You could tell me any kind of butterfly. I'd be like, yeah,
right.
There's so many bugs. So those were 7 omens from that post that I just came across on Tumblr. It was very interesting because this post did talk about the First Omen movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't really want to dive into that all that much. I find like omens and symbolism like this like more interesting in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I did pull a couple good omens from something just to,
balance.
Yeah.
Balance is important.
This is from the West Coast Reader. It's just a couple ones that they wrote. So a butterfly flying into your home brings good news or important guest. Bird pooping on you is good luck. So if a bird poops on you, it's good. Itchy hands brings money, and a wish made when you see a shooting star will come true.
Nice.
So just some good omens too. I mean,
to
omens,
look out for.
Yeah, they're just signs.
Yeah.
They can mean anything. So I love like reading into stuff like that. I'm like, that's
same.
interesting. So I thought it was a little bit more interesting than talking about the Antichrist, in my opinion. I'm like, that's enough. Like, I don't need to talk about that all that much.
It's
in my
very
opinion.
dark. Yeah.
It's like, let's talk about something a little bit more
I look
fun.
up omens all the time for fun anyway.
Yeah.
So like for instance, like if a cat crosses my path or something like that, I'll be like, what does orange cat crossing the path mean?
What does it mean?
What does it mean?
What do you mean?
Is it good? Is it good things?
Is it good thing? I don't know. Who knows? Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show and listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, giving us a 5-star rating is super helpful, and we will always appreciate it.
Yes, and you can now comment on our episodes on Spotify, so we'd love to hear from you to let us know how we're doing and what we can do better. And you can also find us on social media at 13 Degrees of Screams.
This has been 13 Degrees of Screams, and we will see you next week. Let's do some chanting.
It's Survivor.
Oh, is that what that was?
That's how I hear it.
Antichrist.
Antichrist.